When I worked in the UK, a colleague was preparing to visit the US in early July. I mentioned she'd be there for Independence Day, the 4th of July. She responded with, "Who did they gain independence from?" I listed a 20-foot party tent for sale online. Someone randomly messaged me to ask if it would fit in their backyard. How would I know? I've never seen their backyard. Maybe measure to see if you have 20 feet of space? Another time I was selling a black dress, and a woman asked if it was appropriate for her new job as a waitress at Chili's. How on earth would I know that? I have two toes that are joined together. A common silly question I get is, does that make you swim faster? They're joined, not webbed. The most absurd version came when I was staying at my dad's trailer park. A girl saw my foot and asked, "Have you tried pouring hot water on it?" While at Walmart, a young employee noticed my hat and asked about it. I explained that I was undergoing chemotherapy for cancer, which caused me to lose my hair. She looked directly at me and asked, "Did you survive?" It took all my restraint not to reply, "No, I didn't. I'm actually a ghost." Someone at a restaurant asked, "What do you do for a living?" I was literally their server. Someone once asked, "Is that your real skin?" I think she meant to ask if I'd had cosmetic work done, but I was momentarily stunned. No, it's not. I crafted this backup skin from a turnip. I was heading to Wales with my then-girlfriend for a week-long trip. She asked what we'd do for food. I suggested grabbing something from Tesco once we arrived. She then asked, "Do they have supermarkets in Wales?" When I mention I'm lactose intolerant, people sometimes say, "So you can't eat eggs?" While I can't eat eggs, that's because I'm allergic to them, not due to lactose intolerance. I was born with only one arm, my right, and people often asked if I was right or left-handed. Tired of the question, I started replying, "Left," just to see them puzzle it out. Someone suggested, it'd be helpful if the program flagged incorrect addresses since returned mail is costly. I explained, we validate addresses using the Post Office API to ensure they're legitimate. They replied, "Right, but what if someone enters an existing address that isn't theirs, like a neighbor's by mistake? Can you add something to prevent that?" I responded, "You're asking for a feature that knows the address you meant to type. For that, the software would need to know where you live. But if it already knew, it wouldn't need you to input it in the first place." Reviewing a portrait of her son, a woman asked, "Can you turn him so the scratch on his cheek doesn't show?" I replied, "Ma'am, this is a photo. That request needed to be made in the studio." While working in tech support for IBM in Canada, someone from the southern US earnestly asked, "Do you all really live in igloos?" As someone who is blind, I've been asked, "How do you walk?" My brother-in-law's girlfriend couldn't believe I had two brothers and no sisters. She asked how that was possible, as she thought humans alternated between having boys and girls. I'm still not convinced she isn't an alien poorly imitating human behavior. My business partner once got asked, "What are you studying for?" He replied, "The bar exam." The response, "Cool, bartending sounds like a lot of fun." Someone once asked me if my snake was an invertebrate. I had to sit there and explain that snakes are composed of almost entirely vertebrae. How did they manage to train all the dinosaurs for the Jurassic Park movies? How can women pee when they're using a tampon? A well-educated friend once stated, "I don't believe in dinosaurs." I asked her, "Then how do you explain all the dinosaur bones that have been discovered?" She couldn't come up with an answer. A group of friends and I were talking about the discovery of atoms when one of them said, "It's amazing. How did they even know to call them atoms?" Complete silence followed. Being from Alabama, I've been asked if I had an outhouse, rode a horse instead of driving, wore shoes when going out, and even if I owned a police dog trained to attack black people. Why are you wearing sunglasses? It's like 10 degrees outside. Someone once asked me if bananas were vegan. Their reasoning, what if they're tested on animals? What? Not me, but an American man who had driven to Canada's west coast with a snowboard during the summer, asked my grandma at a gas station, "Where's the ski hill?" She replied, "Sir, there's no snow this time of year." He couldn't believe it. But this is Canada. Even winters in recent years have had little snow. Whistler Ski Resort, for example, is facing warming winters that might eventually shut it down for good. While visiting Niagara Falls with my British sister-in-law, we stood near the part of the river just before the water cascades over the edge. She asked, "Is the water really toxic here?" I explained, "No, the Great Lakes supply drinking water to southern Ontario. Why would it be toxic?" She responded, "But everyone who falls in the river dies." I had to clarify that it's the plunge over the falls that kills them. Back when I was a whitewater rafting guide, I encountered endless silly questions. For instance, do the rocks in the river go all the way to the bottom? No, they're the magical floating kind. Another gem, do we finish the trip where we started? As if the river loops around like a theme park ride. A few years ago, tourists from New York visiting Hawaii asked if they needed to exchange their currency to shop there. While working at the zoo, a woman asked me if tigers lay eggs. To be fair, there were rounded rocks in their enclosure along the waterfall, and they might have looked like oversized eggs. The tigers like sitting on them since they stayed cool. Do chinchillas poop? A 20-year-old classmate of mine wanted one as a pet because it was cute. Once she learned they do, she decided against getting one. Do you curl your hair every day? Why is your hair always curly? I don't know, man. It just grows that way. Years ago, while working retail, someone came up and asked if I worked there. I sarcastically replied, "No, I'm just a mannequin." She sighed and muttered, "Not again, Stacy. Why do you keep talking to inanimate objects? You need to stop smoking so much." Then she walked away. I hope Stacy is doing okay. What's the number for 911?